Hi everyone, welcome back to Unorthodox Cricket. Now it's just getting set for a huge night in front of the cricket last night. I'd watched New Zealand battle through for the first stages and Ross Taylor looked like he was going to bring out 100. The Ash was about to start. I just installed Cricket Captain 2019 and I was ready to go. So I had the two screens going, plus the Cricket Captain, and I was pumped. And then rain hit and just ruined the whole situation. So even though the rain washed out my night, there was still a bit of cricket going on. So what we're going to do today, guys, is we're just going to take a look at what happened overnight. So first of all, in the New Zealand-Sri Lanka test match, New Zealand won the toss and elected to bat. Now, you could instantly tell it was a great decision. Sri Lanka brought the spinners on early and the ball was ragging a long way early day one. So you definitely want to get in, you want to bat first. And days 3, 4, 5 are going to be an absolute nightmare to bat on that pitch. Now, the New Zealand openers started really well, very patient. They just ground down the seam bowlers, gave them nothing. They both started very slowly, but when the spinners came on, they both started to pick it up. Now, New Zealand were going reasonably comfortable at about 60 for none, and then 3 quick wickets when Akila how do you say his name? Akila Jane, yeah? We'll go with that. So, sorry about the pronunciation there, but he came on, he bowled so well, just turned it from ball one. His change-ups, his wee leggy that comes out surprised a few New Zealand batsmen. And when Latham finally fell, he sort of a bit indecisive, played on the back foot and got a wee tickle to the keeper. That sort of opened up one end. Kane Williamson didn't last too long. He got a bit of a short ball, stuck in the pitch a bit and whipped it to mid-wicket. And then very shortly after, G. Raval nicked off again. So New Zealand went from a very strong position of 60 for none to about 70 for 3. And that brought Ross Taylor and Henry Nicholls to the crease. Now, those two did really well to rebuild. Ross Taylor was particularly aggressive, getting down the track to the spinners and playing his shots. And that's always been a way he has been able to counter-attack, is being aggressive towards the bowlers and putting them on the back foot. I think you see quite a lot of time when a bowler's got his tail up, batsmen hang back and play defensively. However, Ross Taylor's approach proved to be really effective and just sort of put the bowlers off their lengths a bit and gave New Zealand that little bit of impetus that they had been missing. So after Taylor and Nicholls rebuilt the partnership, Nicholls went for a sweep shot, given out LBW. He went for the review, but it turns out it was going on to hit. And then very shortly after, BJ Watling got a short ball, went on the back dog, and that wrapped him on the legs, and he didn't bother reviewing there. So it was a bit of a cluster of wickets, so good start from New Zealand, 3 quick wickets, a rebuild, and then 2 more quick wickets. And sort of at the end of the day's play, Ross Taylor and Mitchell Sander are there sort of rebuilding the situation. Now, New Zealand are currently 205 for 5. Now, it doesn't look particularly good on paper. However, if you do look at the pitch, I think if New Zealand can manage to put up 300 in their first innings, it's going to be a hell of a game because New Zealand have played 3 spinners today. So with the pitch turning as much as it is on day 1, I think if Sri Lanka have to try and chase something on day 4 and 5, it could be nigh on impossible. So massive that New Zealand kick on to 300 plus, and huge that Sri Lanka try and get a first innings lead because batting last on this wicket is going to be an absolute nightmare. So Ross Taylor's left on 86 not out overnight. Hopefully he can kick on to bring up his ton, and Akila Dan Ajaya picked up 5 for 57. Now he really impressed me. As I said earlier, he turned the ball, put it in such good areas, and he got the results that he deserved. So he's picked up all 5 wickets so far. So an outside chance of a sneaky 10 for him. I imagine it's going to be pretty hard for the captain to get the ball off him. He'll want to open up tomorrow morning and he won't want to come out of the attack at all. So I would say it's a pretty evenly positioned game at this stage. Hugely important first session tomorrow. New Zealand need to kick on and Sri Lanka need to pick up those early wickets. If they can bowl New Zealand out for say 230, 240, advantage Sri Lanka. However, if New Zealand can get up to 280, 300, I firmly think it's in their hands. Now the other game overnight, obviously the Ashes got rained out, but there was the West Indies versus India. Now this was a massive game. Chris Gayles came out with the number 301 on his top. Now typically he wears the number 45. So there was a lot of speculation that this might be his last ever international game, and it seemed to be that way. He came out and he batted so well, scored 72 off 41. He was back to his usual aggression, hitting the ball so hard and so long, and he really put the Indian bowlers on the back foot. Now the game was reduced to 35 overs, and West Indies put up a modest target of 240, I believe it was. And then obviously India had a revised target of 256 to go out and get, which they did reasonably easily. Yet again, Virat Kohli, just the class of the guy. He is so next level. No one is even close to him in the ODI form of the game. His average is now over 60, back-to-back tons, and I don't know how someone can be that good. He just dominates every time. He is the master of a run chase. That's why I firmly believe if you're playing India, you just have to bat second, because Kohli is just way too good in run chases. Even though there was no Dhoni there, he got the support from SSI, who scored 65 of 41, which is massive for him. And another guy who missed out was Pant, who got out first ball, charging down the wicket. I firmly believe Pant is going to be a good player of the future. He's just really got to find his balance between attack and defence, and when to go and when not to. So, huge learning curve for him, but I'm sure he's only going to continue to get better. But clearly the talent of the Indian players is there. I is only 24 and he batted fantastically. But in the end, India cruised to victory, 256 for 4, off the bat of that Virat Kohli 100. So obviously India wrapped up the series there, but the real interesting one was Chris Gayles. So he came out to bat to Agata honour. He scored 50, which is really good. But then when he was leaving the field, all the Indian players came up, shook his hand. Gayle celebrated with the helmet on the stick, walked off, and it really appeared to be a retirement message. And then after the game, he basically came out and said that he was available for the West Indies indefinitely. So who really knows what's going on there with Chris Gayles? A bit strange if that's not his last ODI innings, possibly his last in the Caribbean, but either way, he definitely gave off the retirement vibe. So if I was an India player and he came back and played, I'd be a bit surprised. It's just a bit strange. It really did come across as a retirement, and what a career he's had. Just so powerful. Like, no one has come out and dominated bowling attacks the way Gayle has, particularly in the 2020 format. So it's going to be really sad to see him go. I'm sure he's going to be circling around the T20 circuit still. But I assume that is his last international game, just the way he went off the field. That's it for today, guys. Obviously massive tonight. Hopefully there's no more rain in the New Zealand-Sri Lanka game. Hopefully Ross Taylor can turn up. And then on the other hand, the Ashes, obviously it's going to be a 4-day test match now. So really important, guys, play aggressive cricket, so that could be an exciting watch. I'm really excited to see Jofra Archer get his hands on the ball and get stuck into the Australians, because there has been a lot of talk from the Australians that Jofra can't do it over an extended period. There's been a lot of back and forth, so I'd really like to see him stick it to the Aussies. But thanks again for watching, guys. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. But as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.